Hello, everybody. Bree Sedano here, coming to you live. And today we are going to talk about exhaustion and basically how exhaustion is a pretty expensive energetic state to be in, and kind of what it looks like when we're really using our money to solve for energy problems and some ways to avoid doing that. So, if this is your first time ever catching me live, please say hello. Let me know that you're here. And if you are somebody who watches live all the time, also please say hello. And as we get into this, I would be so grateful if you would tag a friend or share my work, or share it to your profiles. Or send to a friend. That's how we're growing. How we're getting the message everywhere. All right. So a little second about me. My name is Bruce Dano. I'm the owner and founder of Cash Confident, and I work with women to, on like the practical level of managing money, on the mindset level of, increasing their mental capacities for wealth, and in the energy and the energy aspects of just like wealth energetics. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, a lot of times when I'm working with clients, one of the things that I find is that exhaustion is really at the root of a lot of money problems. And here's generally what it kind of looks like is if I'm too exhausted, uh, like if I'm mentally drained at the end of the day, I'm probably not going to be cooking dinner. I'm going to want to order takeout, or I'm going to want some, a different way to do it. And it's not because I don't have the time, and it's not because I'm stupid or there's something wrong with me. It's just like I've spent all of my energy for the day, and I still have this need that needs to be met. And so then, if that's what's going on, a lot of times you will find that there is a money, like you'll use your money to plug that energy leak, right? There's a shortage in energy, and we'll just use our money to fix that. And in time, you'll see more and more purchases really coming from a place of exhaustion. Because also when we're mentally exhausted, and I'll tell you, most of the clients that I've worked with are more mentally exhausted than they are physically exhausted. They may even like work at a desk and maybe not even move around too much, but when they get home, like their brain is tired, right? Like their brain, like they're just tired of thinking the whole day. So here are some things that we can do to get some of our mental energy back, because what I do find is when you get your mental energy back, like when you have some control over your mental energy, that helps you to get back your time, and then that makes the money so easy to manage. Because most of the time when we have a budget issue that's really like an energy issue, the solution will seem super, super clear, but it will be basically impossible to follow through on, right? Like if let's just say you're spending too much money on takeout. The obvious like financial solution is like buy groceries and cook dinner, dum dum, right? Like, but if you're too exhausted to do that, you'll buy the groceries and then you'll buy the takeout and then you'll feel bad about it. So when you're spending money and it's really coming from that place of exhaustion, what you want to start to do is just look a layer deeper and say, all right, well, what's actually going on here, and how could I actually solve this problem like in a way that's sustainable and makes sense? So, one of the first things that I recommend if you're having a lot of exhaustion in your life is to declutter your house. And it's not, man, that is some weird financial advice, like get a dumpster, some weird financial advice. But here's why it matters. Here's why it works is because for most women, when you have a lot of clutter in your house, like it's noisy. It obviously not like literally noisy, but it makes a lot of noise. It's like pick me up, put me away, pick me up, put me away. And so when you get rid of unnecessary stuff, it makes your what you do keep easier to manage, makes things easier to clean, things take less time to clean. And what you'll find will happen is that your house will quiet down, and you'll start to be able to like be rejuvenated. Like you'll find some peace in your house, right? And when we have a lot of clutter, when we've got a lot of stuff, um we don't get that peace, and that mental energy drain is just, it's low grade and it's constant. So decluttering is one way to really work on your, to like get your energy back. right? Another thing that you can do is to really make a list of all of the small tasks that you just kind of put off. Those are places that will like leak mental energy where we will think about the same thing but not take the required action. I will give you an example. So I like to put my taxes off, right? Actually, just today, but right before this, I actually finished everything and got everything to my accountant, which is the first time I'll have my taxes done on time in a while. Most of the time, I file an extension. And so then what I like to do is I like to write to do my tax stuff, get my documents together every day on my to-do list, but then never do it, just avoid doing it. And that is like a way that we will leak energy, because now instead of just thinking about the thing once or twice, I'm thinking about it I'm thinking about it every single day and not taking action. And then generally I'm going to feel some kind of way about that. I'm going to feel some kind of flavor of bad. All right, I see people are hopping on right now. So if you're hopping on, please say hello. Let me know that you're on, that you're here. Um, all right. The A third thing that you can do to get some energy back, uh, from your life is going to be around your boundaries. And for most of my clients, that will look like taking work off of their phone. So that way they're working while they're at work, but while they're at home, they can be at home. A lot of my clients are working before they've even fully had a cup of coffee. They're like getting into their emails or they're checking their work. And then we're not being compensated for that work. And it's happening, in times that are really not work times. So that could be a great way, to set some boundaries. Sometimes we got to look around the relationships in our lives and be like, oh my goodness, so and so, it's just a lot of work to be friends with. Maybe I'm going to spend less time with this person. If somebody else's drama, right, or like whatever is kind of costing you a lot of energy, that's another great place to get some of your energy back. The fourth thing that I want to say is to rest without feeling bad about it. That's another place that my most exhausted clients tend to really like not want to rest or feel guilty about resting or feel like they should be more productive while they're resting. And as it's just like if you rest, you'll be well rested, you'll get your work done faster, you'll be more productive in general if you're well rested. And yeah, just a just an interesting phenomenon that happens. All right, so those are some of the things. Think I have one more thing that I didn't write down that I wanted to say. All right. So when you're looking at your transactions, so one of the things that I teach in the Cash Confident community is like I teach clients how to look at their transactions and then what to do. Like, how do we really get into it? And when we're looking at our transactions, the place that you're going to want to start with is looking at like the places that you're spending money where you wish you hadn't spent it, right? Like and that's going to be some of the things. And then when it comes to energy, you're going to want to look even at like your regular household like procurements, right? Like your groceries, your household stuff, your trips to Target, and see if there's ways where you could spend less energy to get the same amount of stuff. Um Right, like, so for example, I will generally suggest to clients to go to one grocery store once a week. And if you're going to go to a bulk store, go to a store like Costco or BJ's or something like that, like go once a month. If you're going to buy clothes, buy them once a quarter or four times a year. So that way, like, you're not constantly shopping, right? That helps to save time, it helps to save energy, and it helps to just break the habit of always being in consumption mode, right? Like, oh, I'm not buying clothes again until fall. Like I'm not looking for clothes. I have everything I need and I'll go shopping again in fall. Things like that just it helps to keep your mental energy conserved, right? So that way you're not just like shopping and making a bazillion decisions, which are really mentally costly, right? They're a big like expense to your brain. Um, so that's another thing that you could do. Oh, and then the last thing is to buy the highest level of support that you can reasonably afford. Right? So a lot of times when we're spending a lot of money on exhaustion, it's because we're not being like adequately supported. And so then something like takeout or something like buying a last minute purchase or whatever is really like we're buying band-aid solutions. So sometimes the thing that you want to look at is like, all right, well, how if I'm spending this much money being exhausted to buy these band-aids, could I potentially buy a higher level of support? And sometimes that may look like getting a babysitter, once a week, or getting a house cleaner to take some of take some of your work off of your plate, your load. Sometimes it's getting somebody to food prep, or whatever else. But a lot of times when we're exhausted, we're buying the lowest level of support, that the lowest level of support, but it's generally not the cheapest way to get it done. So if you're spending a lot of money from a place of exhaustion, you want to look at that and say, all right, well, this is how much money I'm spending because I'm exhausted, and see if you could redirect some of that to going to like just a more sustainable, better solution for you. So those are 5 things that you can do to really help break that cycle of being exhausted and spending a lot of money. And what you'll find is when you start to get your mental energy back, then you'll find that you're more like alive during your time, and then you can like get your time back, and then money becomes much easier to manage. A lot of times people fail at their financial solutions because they're putting in solutions that require a high energy cost, but they don't actually have the energy to do it. And so then their plans kind of go to shit, right? Um, and that doesn't work. And so if you look at it from an energy perspective, from a time perspective, and a financial perspective, when you're looking at your transactions, if you look to solve for the exhaustion, what will end up happening is it takes a minute. It does take a minute, but that's the place where you'll then find your time, and then you'll be able to have the energy to like make the adjustments to your financial plans. And that's much more sustainable. It works way better in the long term. Than just looking at like a money-based solution to solve for exhaustion, because that doesn't actually work, right? Like if you're buying takeout, let's say twice a week because you're so exhausted at the end of the day. Well, if you say, all right, well, I'm not going to buy takeout, well, what does that mean, right? Like if you're leaving that exhaustion, if you're leaving the root of the issue, but you say that you're going to not buy takeout, what are you just going to be hungry? Like, oh, what's going to happen there? And that's basically why some of these plans don't work. So anyways, I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to share my work. Feel free to send it out to anybody that you know. If you're in the Cash Confident community with Bree Sedano, my free Facebook group, please feel free to invite a friend. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out with me.